Welcome back, I'm Mr. Z and I'm talking about virtual classroom management today. Classroom management is a thing that veteran teachers are really good at and pride themselves on. Old school classroom teachers think of classroom management in terms of control. How good are you at controlling what happens inside your classroom, especially given all the curveballs that students and administrators can throw at you? The newer generation of educators, of which I'm a part, think of classroom management as a set of skills that determine how well you structure the learning environment. With remote teaching, most of those skills go right out the window, or at least they should. We can't reach through our computer screens and force students to do things during Zoom meetings exactly the way we want them to, and that's a good thing, especially older students who need to learn how to budget that time and use it effectively on their own without somebody holding their hand or breathing down their neck. And many students are just trying to cope with the fact that we're living through a global pandemic. We're here to guide them through this by creating currents, not steering their boats for them. Students need to be able to access content and complete work on their own time according to a timeline that is accommodating without being meaningless. Here are some important things I've learned about managing a virtual classroom. A lot of these strategies were borrowed directly from the physical classroom, and a lot of them were adapted on the fly when we went fully remote. Be clear. If you're giving instructions in oral or written form, you need to be very exact in the way that you word things so that you don't confuse your students and so that you have some verifiable way of making sure you've asked them to do exactly what it is you actually want them to do for each lesson. Many students will still skip steps or not read instructions, but at least this way you have a verifiable thing that you can go back to and point them towards so that you don't have to backpedal. Google Classroom gives you a place to type instructions and create rubrics that you can use directly when grading work. I highly recommend taking advantage of this feature if you're using Google Classroom, especially if you teach a lot of students like I do. If you're using some other platform, see what features are available to help you organize the way you teach. Google Classroom has also added some tools that are really great for keeping track of assignments and grades. It's not perfect, but this year it's saved me a lot of time transferring data between different platforms. Establish protocols early on. Some students will take a lot longer to catch on, and some of them may never catch on, but the sooner you make it clear what your expectations are, the sooner the majority of your students can rise up to meet them. Model artistic processes. If you want your students to do something technical, you need to be at least very proficient at it, and your process shouldn't model bad habits either. You need to be able to deconstruct what you're doing so that students understand how and why every decision was made. Bring them inside your mind when you're making artistic decisions. You should record your demos using as many different camera angles as you can. This means you or your school should invest in recording equipment, and you're going to need to learn some video editing. I use DaVinci Resolve, which is free and extremely robust, but you need a decent computer to run it. I'll include a link. I have a document camera, a fairly good quality consumer-grade digital camera, and my iPhone to record with. If you make good demonstration videos, all your synchronous meeting time can be spent doing low-stakes things or social-emotional learning, or just answering questions that students have. In my experience, this has made my video meetings almost obsolete, and as a result, I don't encounter a lot of the meeting-centric problems that many other teachers do. Most of my students prefer to keep their cameras off, and I decided to absolve myself of hounding them about it. They feel discomfort about appearing on camera. Who doesn't? And while it's awkward for me to feel like I'm talking to an unblinking laptop, I'll happily experience a few minutes of awkwardness if it means I'm not adding to my students' sense of discomfort. They're already in middle school. That's bad enough. No matter how well you think you're explaining something in a demo, there will always be students who need more help to understand. Be patient with them. Make more videos if you need to. Open communication channels and set aside time to meet with them if they're able and willing to do so. That's pretty much it. Make life easy for yourself. There's no reason to conduct a virtual classroom the way you conduct a physical classroom, and students aren't going to let you do it that way anyway. I hope you find these tips helpful. My next video is going to be about how I create my demo videos. I'm looking forward to sharing it with you. See you next time.